How are you? It's 6:05. We would like to start our meeting. Please, public hearing item. Celeste will fill us in on who's on there. I think they're on Zoom. Please sign in, guys. Thank you. Ladies and gents, it's 6:05. Yeah, you can call it. We have Celeste is going to call in regards to the presentation. Thank you.
All right, so our first public hearing item this evening is going to be NYC Buildings. They have a team of folks here. I will let them introduce themselves. And the primary representative that we spoke with is Crystal. So Crystal, I will defer to you to get us started and let the team introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Crystal Jallo. I'm an Intergovernmental Affairs Liaison with the Department of Buildings, and I'm joined here by my colleagues. I will pass it over to Kevin to introduce yourself.
All right, for some reason, we do not hear Kevin. Not sure if he's having an audio issue.
Raphael? Okay, I will introduce the DOB team. So I'm joined here by Mr. Kevin King, who's the Director of Boilers and he's the Deputy Director of Boilers and Gas Piping System Compliance. We also have Chief Inspector of Plumbing Enforcement and Boilers, Mr. Raphael Trulson, and then we have the Director of Boilers, Mr. David Warshaw. And they will actually be giving the presentation, so just bear with us one moment. Can you confirm whether you see the slide up?
Yes, we do. But if you can
Awesome.
make it like full screen, that would be helpful.
Actually, this is full screen on my end. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there should be an option to start the presentation. If you go to view, the menu option, view. On the top menu, oh, we no longer see the presentation.
Just give me one moment while I get this back up. All right, share. All right, so I have it full screen. Let me see how to share this. It's screen 2. Is it back up?
It is, it's just not full screen. So folks here won't be able to see it really well. If you go to view at the top, at the menu on the top, you should be able to start the presentation to share it full screen.
Will it help if I share it with you as well? I'm not sure if you have a board to put it up on your end. Because I have it.
So if we would have received this in advance, then we would have been able to assist. but we have not received this in advance, so it'd be difficult for us to pivot right now. I defer to the board. Shall we just continue with you not being able to see the presentation, or do you want us to spend more time trying to resolve this?
I mean, we can continue like this and I'll be more than happy to share with you as well.
I heard one continue. Okay, there's consensus to continue. Please continue.
Just allow us another moment. I think there might be some technical difficulties on the presenter's end. So today we're just going to give a presentation on, while they get settled in, on Local Law 152, which is the periodic inspections of gas piping systems. Give them a quick call. Just one moment.
So we have a motion from the parliamentarian, Ms. Bennett. There's a motion to table the presentation since we're not able to move forward. Is there a second for this motion? Second by Ms. Spellin. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Crystal, we can follow up. If folks join a little bit later, we can come back to this if the board would like to pick it up afterwards, but otherwise we can always follow up offline. All right.
Yes, and please do send us a copy of the presentation so that we can hand to them in an email. Maybe they can make own copies at their own leisure, so like that we won't have to be going through this again. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Second public hearing item is CB4 leadership. Mr. Camacho will be talking about board governance and process. This is a follow-up discussion as recommended by the board during last month's meeting. He will summarize this now earlier in the meeting, and then once the public hearing closes, discussion of this will also close for today.
Thank you for the executive board. They were inquiring to address concerns and issues in regards to committee. So I did get a letter back from the Borough President's Legal Department, General Counsel. In it, he says, dear Mr. Camacho, thank you for writing and for sharing the concerns regarding CB4 December 17, 2025 meeting. This was addressed to me. That's why I didn't make any copies to give to anyone, because that was the one that was a little concerned. As a general manager, as a general matter, the Borough President's Office does not involve itself in internal community board deliberations, individual votes, or parliamentary issues. Our role is to oversee the board as a structural level and ensure that they are meeting their charter mandate's responsibility, including holding required meetings, following basic procedure requirements, and carrying out the advisory functions. Based on the information provided, the issue you raise relates to internal board procedure and discriminatory decision makings and does not appear to implement any failure in compliance with the city charter governments require. As such, this matter does not raise to the level of any issue that would warrant investigation or internal by our office. We needlessly appreciate engagement and continue to serve the community board for. If you have any questions regarding charter requirements or general role of the community board, please do not hesitate. I then will write to them because y'all know back when the committee permits and license, there was a complaint in regards to us not giving or recommending someone with a license that they went over to the borough president, and there was an investigation being issued. And my district manager called me and legal got involved. So I think that my opinion, speaking for myself, that it's disheartening to see that he's not going to get involved when that happens, and when we make our decision, he wants it like a double-edged sword. So I will be writing back to him, and I will be addressing a concern in regards to the committee has overstepped its authority in the following ways. Violation of advisory mandate 25. The charter expands states that community board or advisory board role and does not generally have the final decision making authority. The committee currently approach said dangerous legal procedures by attempting to act as a legislative body rather than an advisory board, which that's what they were doing. Second, the committee currently approach such dangerous legal procedures by acting, I addressed that. Two, failure of public outreach. Handbook 26, Section 28 requires the board to conduct substantial public outreach and communicate which transmit information to the people of the district. The committee moved forward without any necessary community voices. Failure is duty to consider the needs of the district which is served, which was there was no community input. So I'm just want to finish the third base discharge, then I would have the manager, which I have the authority to do, to have her address some of the concerns and issues that were handed out. And I know that the executive board required that we have a dialogue based on discharge handbook 20 on the parliamentary procedures. The motion to discharge the committee is an appropriate way where the board wishes to stop a committee from considering an issue further, giving the committee to operate outside the scope of this charter. It is responsible by the chair to hold this proceeding to protect the board from any legal liability or procedure overreach, which that's what I was doing. So I will be challenging his and highlighting it that I did my due diligence job. So if anyone outside the community says that there was no community input, that the community board stepped its boundaries, since legal said I didn't have none, I want to address it to make sure that it does. I want to protect that we're here to serve the community. We're not here to serve any special interests and anyone that has a personal agenda in regards to them, because what they did was they did a survey according to themselves. The committee voted on it, percentage of the committee, and then also it wasn't overwhelmed. I know Celeste didn't hear, because she was out, in regards to the vote, and the vote wasn't overwhelmed because I myself voted not in favor and a couple of people. So whoever didn't, please call the office. Let us know that you didn't. Whoever abstained, because it wasn't heard, please let her know that you abstained and it wasn't overwhelmingly voted. It was already passed through. Already it went through, but we don't make I think our elected officials, if they want to change laws, could come here and work with us and we'll address whatever needs to. But I think that we need to further discuss because as you know, the board is changing and we want to make sure that this board represents the community. Each area and each zone is different in its own way and what they want. We have homeowners on one side that own homes, and to create an environment without their input, only because people on this board wants to change the narrative, I think is disheartening. And I think that we all is supposed to be serving the community. And that's why I know Celeste, I'm gonna allow her as the chair to speak on some of the topics and concern. As executive board, I think Alicia Ruiz required that we have this and it was voted on that we have a board governance to follow a decision making. So I'm applying by what the executive board requires to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. I'm just going to outline, as directed by the chairperson, some of the discussion during the executive board meeting that was solution focused. And I want to also just recap my concerns. The only parts here that are being questioned are that the claim or the recommendation was unanimous. There are individuals that have indicated that they were not in favor. That was not documented. No one proposed an amendment to the minutes last month. If there is anyone, this is the last time I will say it, if there's any board member that was not in agreement with that recommendation, please send me an email and we will correct the board's records. And then the process and standard of community engagement, Mr. Camacho already went over. The board has to be conscious of whether and how it's acting as an insular body that speaks for the public without direct input, or whether it will expect more visible community representation and percenters on such issues. There was a robust conversation about this. Folks have made the comparison to permits and licenses. We have liquor license applicants, cannabis retail applicants. How do we know beyond just the proof of public posting that people are actually aware of what's happening? As of 2 months ago, the committee recommended that all applicants now have to submit signatures. So every time someone comes before the board with an application for either of those two entities, they have to submit signatures for folks that are adjacent, across the street, behind the backyard, above the establishment itself. And so that's another way to document how folks are being made aware. Obviously, that's not something that could be replicated for every committee, but there was a suggestion from our first vice chair about standards for public engagement for different committees and issue types, as well as a suggestion that we further explore this through the upcoming bylaw revision process for the board. And I will leave it there if folks want. And then, of course, there's like a standard suggestion for announcements, which I think we already do a pretty good job of at the committee meeting. But we all know that community outreach can be an imperfect process. And the only way that we can improve is by having just very clear standards and expectations for how the board wants to act and how they would like for the district office to support that. Thank you.
I remember back then, I know some of you guys do that if there was a sensitive topic or in one sector or one area that our district manager or our employees that were there, which was Willie and Sharon, used to go out, I remember, and leaflet or give flyers that we were having a town hall, that it was something that were concerning to them. And we used to post it. I know some of you guys do remember when issues were going on and we had town halls and we used to post it where people knew because everybody's busy. And we also gave Zoom meetings or people to get involved. And just like when people knock on your door and they want you to vote for them, You know, they're not going to harass you and they bother you constantly. You're laughing, but I'm serious. And they say, sign this and we need this. We need to let the people on the block in the area, yes, this is a sensitive topic. What is your concern? And input is very key and important in making decision making, because if the community in the area doesn't want it, we need to find out the reason why, how come, and who is going to impact, and if it's benefiting the community or not. And that's what it's called, community board and community. So I want to highlight that because I remember dearly that they used to do that. So now all of a sudden it's on, either you go on which a lot of our seniors and our people don't do, go on social media or have the link to the boards and look what meeting and what's important. I know the young people can do that and say, oh, well, this is important and it benefits me, so I'm going to go. So what happens to everybody else that don't, are we excluding them or are we including them? And that's, I guess, this is what the executive board wanted us to do. So the floor is open for any comments, any concerns, or anything that needs to be addressed, board members and people of the public, if anything.
Hi, Ann Guiney, Housing and Land Use Economic Development Chair. I think it's such an important conversation about community engagement and how this happens. I also, my experience in this particular context is the Bushwick Community Plan, 6-year process. Many of you know that, where there were town halls. There was a lot of efforts of connecting. What I would say, that was an imperfect process. I'm not going to say it was perfect. We did as much as we could. We did the best we could. What I would also say is whatever we come up with as a board has to really take clearly in mind, this is a volunteer board. If I am being asked as the chair of a committee to knock on every door, what is the parameters? How big? Like 1 block, 18 blocks? Like, I think the reality of the situation is that we cannot think about, we have to be so clear-eyed about this, about individual capacity, group capacity, board capacity. The board office is understaffed right now and will probably be understaffed for a minute. And if we are relying on the board staff, again, like, do you do a block? Do you do 20 blocks? Do you do 80 blocks? Like, Bushwick is big. Bushwick has an incredibly complex mix. And so I just want to be super clear. I'm not going to say what we should do or what we shouldn't do. I just want nobody to be naive about how hard and how important community engagement is. And even you could knock on any door and people are like, well, I wasn't home. You came at the wrong time. Like, let's just be very sensible about that. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
I was Courtney Henley, Community Board 4. I was just going to add to what Ann is saying, because I'm wondering what the logistics of that would be. Like, where would we get these flyers? How many blocks is each person doing? That kind of thing. I think we need to figure that out as well.
Hi, good evening, Jason Gers. So first of all, I want to thank Mr. Camacho and the executive board for addressing the question of process. I think quite a few of us have been confused at times about, the parliamentary procedures. It's not something that we all study. So I think it is something that we can work on as a board to be more clear about what our intentions are, and for us to kind of understand how everybody can understand in this room what it is that we are voting on and what the motions all mean. So thank you for your efforts there. I mean, one thing that came to mind is a possible suggestion that other community boards do. They may, I think at our board, we have public comment, which is sometimes separate from the committee report, which is sometimes separate from the vote. And another board, an agenda item might be presented, discussed by the board members, then discussed by the public, and then voted on all in sequence. That makes just the story a little easier to follow. That's one suggestion. So with that said, I think that there are some philosophical questions here that are not parliamentary in nature about what is our role as a board and to what extent community input is something required and how much that is, right? So Mr. Camacho, you're arguing that the committee overstepped our authority. I do not agree with that. There are quite a few New York City community boards that pass resolutions that advise and ask the city for resources or for certain policy changes. And that's what this recommendation was. I don't believe that there's anything in the charter or in our bylaws that contraindicates that. And if you believe that's the case, please share that with me so that I can educate myself more clearly and we as a board can work together on that more. You know, I hear Mr. Camacho often saying Bushwick isn't getting what we deserve. And I share some of that sentiment. So I think for us as a board to get what we deserve and what we want, we may need to be a squeakier wheel and we may need to ask the city more clearly, proactively, this is what we want. And I think, like, for example, with PLC permits and licenses, we have done that. We have a stipulation and we have things that we ask businesses to do that we are not mandated to do. And legally speaking, they are not mandated to do, but we ask them to do because we think that this is the right thing for our community and the saturation of bars and stuff that we have. So I also think that there's a question about of legitimacy of the committee that is being made here that I don't think is fair. You know, the people on the committee, as is pointed out, are volunteers, and we're appointed by our elected officials based on community service and other characteristics that they are looking for. And as such, as a result of our appointment, we are here to represent the community. All of us. It's not just 6 people on a committee that voted on this resolution. It was the entire board that voted on this resolution. And there were members of the public who spoke on this matter and quite a few members of the board that spoke on this matter. So I don't think it's fair to say that there was no community input or insufficient community input. It was discussed over 6 meetings. And I don't think that we should set an unrealistic standard for everything that we do has to be waiting for the city to ask us to look at something, or that requires door knocking and leafleting and things of that nature. So I would just hope that we can avoid delegitimizing other members of this board. We're all here together as a team, you know, and let's not point fingers that other people have personal interests or special interests that are against the community. I agree with Mr. Camacho's frequent calls for us to be unified and collaborative. And thank you very much.
Hi. Ben Tucker, I'm a board member. I want to reiterate one thing that came up at the executive committee that Ann mentioned that I thought was worth reiterating is a lot of these recommendations, and especially the most contentious ones, they're coming first at the committee level. And by the time they reach the board, the meat of the presentation will have been done at the committee level and the committee deliberated on it. But here is probably where we have our best chance for public engagement at the full board meeting. And I don't think a lot of folks know what is going on at the committee level until it comes to the full board meeting. And it would make sense to either have some of these contentious presentations done only at a full board level or both to the committee and then the full board level, or to have a better set of engagement rules for the public, because the public, I would think, would be inclined to come here at the full board level and not necessarily the committee level to share their feedback.
Before you comment, just because those are some board member concerns, I'm going to respond to some of them and then I'll let you go. Okay. So this is 2026. If folks still want to knock on doors, I encourage it because we're in person, but we also have things like Every Door direct mail, where I can also just send mail to everyone's home on specific blocks. And so I'm happy to see if the board has the budget to do that. And I think that that'll eliminate that issue. It's always been an option. It's just never been one that the board has recommended for anything because we haven't had particularly contentious hearings. I can tell you right now, we definitely do not have the budget to do that for every single liquor license applicant. So it has to be, you know, for example, we have a shelter presentation coming up next month. I think that that'd be a good example to test that out, to see how it goes, to see if we can sustain that funding wise. Where do you get flyers? Flyers for anything that the board does, any information about the board or what the board is involved in, the district office would be the answer to that question. How do you contact the district office? By email, bko4@cb.nyc.gov, or you can call us 718-628-8400, or you can visit us during business hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday at 1420 Bushwick Avenue, room 370. And then in terms of, let me see, public comment, I'm going to come back to that. I know we've had some discussions recently about hearings, but just to clarify, the majority of sensitive items that come before this board, I'm going to use some examples that folks might be more familiar with, just because they're more frequent or more significant. Whenever we have a Board of Standards and Appeals application, whenever we have a ULURP item, it always goes to committee first for there to be context, and then it comes to the full board for further public comment and hearing. And then any initial recommendation that the committee may make could be tweaked or amended to reflect that public hearing. Now, on the converse, we've had another conversation recently mirroring other community boards that have certain applications for liquor licenses with over 200 capacity. Knowing that that's going to be a sensitive conversation, they sometimes hold a public hearing first. They get initial feedback that's referred to the committee, and then the committee can have a conversation about that application and then make a recommendation. It may take a little bit longer. It's the full 30 days as opposed to like just the, within the time frame that we have our committee to the full board, so under 30 days. But within the SLA's time frame, that should be able to work. That's just one example, but traditionally this board always has held public hearings both in the committee and at the full board. However, some committees have only had hearings within the committee, depending on the type of business. And that's something that this board can obviously, they can recommend changes to. A committee can always recommend items for the public hearing, so on and so forth. All right, please.
How you doing? I live at 1344 Willoughby, and I'm going to surprise you today, Mr. Camacho, because I 100% agree with you. And me and you had a lot of little back and forths, and for what I see a whole new community board, because I don't see a lot of the people that still live in the neighborhood or that have been raised and praised in the neighborhood here as the majority here no more. I mean, what is wrong with knocking on doors and letting the block know that we're going to have Fat Tuesdays every night from now on to the day I die? I have to hear that trumpet like I did yesterday at the corner of Willoughby and Whitecourt. Nobody gonna tell my daughter told me that trumpet was going to be playing. It's years now. I live on a block where 3 bars. Just to see what happens with these new community board bars that are coming, because that's what I call them, the new community board bars. Because when I was applying for a bar license, you know what? They refused me back in the days. Now they turn a pizzeria into a bar. They turn a bakery into a bar. Who knows? Maybe a pharmacy into a bar. And that's how they circumvent the whole neighborhood. I didn't come to this meeting because I was invited. I came to this meeting because I got it from word of mouth. And that word of mouth wasn't because they really wanted me here just to meet me, because they have an interest in opening up the block too. Now, I'm not going to knock anybody on how they make a living, how they make their money. It's the same. But these people are you trying, and 2 weeks after that, you got people shooting and pissing in the soup. Because all these bars overcrowd their places. I do not want my block to be like Star Street between Irving and Whitecourt. I don't know how those people, they got to see people urinating, dropping their pants and literally taking the shit. It's happening on my block. If I'm having a baseball bat, and he knows that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you see that?
Good evening, everyone. Joanna Bennett, CB4. And with regard to what this gentleman just said, I understand. I serve on Permits and Licenses Committee. What people do not understand is that and need to know.
Ma'am, one more thing. I also got tased twice on that block. Put in the hospital.
All right, continue.
No, okay. What many people do not understand and need to know is that permits and licenses has to operate within the scope of the state and liquor license authority. Those are the people that make the rules. And they've even expanded the rules on who can get a liquor license. The same thing goes for the Office of Cannabis Management. That's another state agency that issues cannabis licenses. So here we are sitting in committee doing the best we can within the scope, having to understand. We just got a memo from SLA, State Liquor Authority, that sounded ridiculous to us. Who they will be expanding and issuing liquor licenses to. And we have to sit there in committee. We don't have any authority over this. And I think the people in Bushwick, SLA needs to come here and do a presentation to make people understand what they do and how our hands are tied. We get very frustrated when we hear like this gentleman, and how our community is being oversaturated with bars, clubs. We address these things and then we try to make the applicants accountable by saying, listen, when you come before us, you need to show up in person. That's one of the things that we're trying to work. So don't just talk to us in Zoom. If you respect Bushwick, show up in person. We show up in person. We must, the committee has to show up in person. That's one of the things we're asking. The other thing we're asking, they come with petitions. And we find that most of them, they say, they're doing outreach in the community. And the people who are signing the petitions are other business owners who just like them. So it's like, okay, you watch my back and I'll wash yours. That's how we're going. We're trying to eliminate that to make sure that they are actually communicating with people who are affected residents in the community. We're trying. So I understand, somewhat of the problems. And, I'm trying to work with the committee to make some recommendations. How can we do better community outreach? They've changed, SLA has rules. If you have a church and your church is not exclusively used for religious purposes, you are not entitled to protection in the rules and recommendations from the SLA. How many churches have we lost in Bushwick because people can't afford to maintain those big buildings any longer? I ask you, Reverend Stewart. So they move into a smaller place and say, we're going to supplement our rent so we can continue our ministries by renting out a piece of the property to someplace else. A nonprofit business. This is what's going on in our community. And the other thing is, yes, we represent, but if you're not going to do us, how many people actually showed up? We don't have the block associations that we used to have. And that's another really important resource that we used to enjoy in Bushwick. You could get in touch with the block association president and they would spread the word. So, sometimes you got to drag people by the scruff, then they want to stand there and say, I didn't know. But then they want to say, but the community board approved this. Our hands are tied behind our backs by the state. And I need you all to recognize that's all I really want to say about that.
Thank you, madam. Are there anyone on? Yes, there's one hand up.
Hi, my name is Lola Member. I'm a local business owner in the area. And I just, want to share that I missed the initial conversation of this topic in December. I was there in January where it was brought up, this issue is brought up again. At this point, I still don't fully understand the issue. Having said that, I think that really speaks to the importance of getting this, getting the full community involved in the conversation. Someone earlier had asked the rhetorical question, like, what is the mission? What is the goal of the community board? And what caused me to want to join and get involved in this board is that we're supposed to be representing the voice and the interest of our community. And how do we do that without having the voice of everyone in the community, not just homeowners, not just business owners, but all the full community. And, I don't think it should be viewed as a burden to get as many voices involved in the conversation as we can, but that's actually what our objective should be.
Thank you. We have two more, and then we're going to close the discussion. Thank you.
Hello, Gio Justiniano, board member CB4. I'm a member who sits on the Permits and Licenses Committee. And outside of that committee being a forum to have these conversations, it frustrates me to hear how upset and how angry the community gets about all of these licenses coming into our neighborhood. As someone who lives in the area, as someone who was born and raised in Bushwick, I'm Puerto Rican, my family's been here for a very long time. We have conversations all the time back and forth when we're reviewing all the applications, and it does seem like our hands are tied. Most of what we hear when people come in is that we're excellent. We are gems of the neighborhood. We have a wonderful relationship with the 83rd precinct. I wish that those of us in the community board also had a wonderful relationship with the 83rd precinct and that there was some accountability. No matter how many 311 complaints get leveraged against bad faith actors in the neighborhood, nothing comes from that. All of our public officials, their hands are tied. They can't do nothing. Make more complaints. And then you go and you make complaints, and SLA says, the business people get to say to SLA, it's one bad faith person who has nothing to do with their life but make a 311 complaint. It actually has nothing to do with us. And they get a rubber stamped license. That's a problem. Another issue that we have is that when there are, the 83rd precinct, I don't know if anyone's aware, right? Every month they also have a meeting. A lot of these businesses participate in the meeting, and, they're there and they have phone numbers to these, I don't know, the QT teams or whatever. I'm not sure what they're doing. And they say, we have a wonderful relationship with the 83rd precinct. Every time there's an issue, we know who we got to contact. There's no one that we contact. There's people on this board who have numbers to those same officers who don't ever get a response when there's problems. That's a problem. The other issue is that while everyone's having a roundtable, tenants, 83rd precinct, and those of us in the community board, and public officials, when you go and you flag these concerns, and everyone says, part of the issue is the noise, and the other issue is trash, and the other issue is that there's people taking a shit and pissing, and everyone stoops at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Who's responsible for that? And the businesses say, what are we supposed to do with that? We can only control the people that are in our business, but no one wants to take responsibility for what happens after the business closes, after 2 a.m., which is after our stipulations, or 4 a.m. for those businesses that have a license that closes at 4 o'clock, at 4 a.m. in the morning. So there's a gray area here that no one wants to take accountability for. No business wants to take accountability for. The 83rd precinct does not want to take accountability for, and none of our public officials want to take accountability for. So it leaves us to be aggravated tenants, aggravated constituents about this problem. And this is the forum. It's not the whole precinct's fault. No. You're right, but accountability, when it comes to accountability, per New York City, it falls on the 83rd precinct. I think that their responsibility should be dealing with other things, but right now that's not how things are set up, and it leaves all of us with our hands tied. So we need someone to be accountable to be addressing these concerns when they do come up. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, appreciate it. There is no one on there. That's one more person and then that's it.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to apologize. I've lived in this community. My name is Valerie LeBrew, and I've lived in this community since I was 4. I was a part of the community board, but I had to take care of my parents. I hung out with Miss Hart. I hung out with Mr. Sterling. We had block associations that had outreach. We had the Merchants Association that had outreach in the community. We have to reestablish these linkages in order to get outreach into the community, because a lot of people are coming in new who have never been here before and just want to change the work that we did in the 80s and the 90s to keep Bushwick alive. And I'm back. My parents are gone now, but I'm back and I want to do whatever I can to reestablish those links that we had so that we can be stronger as a voice in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. We're closing the public comment of this before we even, I want to let the board members know that I may go to CB1's meeting or CB3 meeting, and what they implement may not work on this side. You know, just because they do it over there may not be good over here. I know I had spoken with our borough president. He says, I'm pro-Bushwick. You're right. I am pro-Bushwick. I only know about Bushwick. I do travel outside. But if they want it and it's fighting for them and they need our support, I'll fight. And if we need something, we'll fight for their support. Yes, like my sister said, there were heavy block associations here. Yes, the police department, he's a new inspector. Deputy inspector, we're going to give him a little time to get his feet wet and make sure. And yes, we do go to the precinct and find out if there were bad actors or incidents occur there. But we also have to hold them accountable for that. If there is a problem, that they come here and address that there is a problem and take care of the problem, one. And then when they do take care of the problem, the people that they address come here and start fighting that they addressed an issue. We can't have it both ways. We can't call a police officer and then tell them we don't need them. You understand what I'm talking about, right? The A3 precinct had 250 people. You know how much we got now? Less than 130. People are leaving. They're retiring, they're resigning, they don't want the job. Why? I don't know. You tell me. You guys know. Tell me why nobody wants the job. I'm not going to say it. Because everybody say I'm a bad guy. Why nobody wants the job? Hey, I know why too. They don't want it. Because everybody's saying defund and they don't want them to do their job. And it's right. So let's be realistic. Either you want them or you don't want them. Guess what? I've been here in the 70s when they never came, so I'm used to that. I don't need them. Because we knew how to take care of our own. Everybody know, right, my sister? We took care of our own block. And when we knew our own people were selling the drugs, we told them you gotta move it on. Because not in our block. Because if that's the case, I can make the money. I live there. So I know. So what we really need to do is focus on some of the situations. Yes, the SLA, all they want to do is chin, let the cash register ring and keep dumping. Like I said, we had stores here. We had beautiful stores now. We had churches. I'm trying to work with some of these churches that are leaving. On Myrtle, 2 seconds, on Myrtle and Harmon. The church in the corner, go there. Go there. They just demolished it. And I was a young kid going in that church. That church is gone. I basically cried when I walked over there and saw that church gone. I couldn't believe one day it was gone. It's gone. The church. Thank you.
All right.
Roll call.
Okay. We are now moving on to the first roll call. Board members, please be ready.
But before we start, can I have some volunteers, please? I know only one to give the food to the board members, and then when they're, and then we have here. Thank you.
All right. Isa Abney, Stephanie Anderson, Joanna Bennett, Robert Camacho, Felix Ceballos, Andrew Choi,
Present.
Freddie Fowler, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Alan Gamboa, Jason Gares, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney, Elaine Hamilton, Zachary Hendrickson is excused, Courtney Henley, Deborah Hicks, Tanisha Honeygan,
Present.
Barbara Jackson, Virgie Jones,
Present.
Tara Jones Thomas, Luisa Jose, Giovanni Justiniano, Nancy Keith is excused, Cindy LeBron, Christine Malden, Ramika Nichols Barnes,
Here.
thank you, Zuma Navoa,
Present.
Cirillo Nunez,
Present.
Shrey Richardson is absent, informed the district office, Pablo Rivera,
Yeah.
Raul Rubio, Eliseo Ruiz, Josue Salazar is excused, Milagro Sandoval is excused, Juan Serra is excused, Annette Spellin, B. Spiederman is excused, James Stewart, Christian Tate, Savannah Thais, Ben Tucker, Jerry Valentine,
Present.
Linda Whitfield. One moment for the tally. And folks, please sign in. I usually count your signatures. Just give me 1 second. We have 21 members present. That does not constitute quorum.
Any board member who has standing please do so.
We need one more board member. Yeah, I counted people who haven't signed in. So. All right. Well, since there is no quorum right now, we cannot move on to the second or third agenda item. So we will move on to the fourth, which is the parliamentarian's note. Ms. Bennett.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Joanna Bennett. I'm going to ask everybody to stand for just a moment. Just stand up. And I want you to repeat after me. I am somebody. That's it. And that's paying tribute to a major tree that has fallen, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, who made us say that and remind us that each and every one of us is somebody. And so you can sit down now. Thank you. And it kind of goes along what I've been saying as the parliamentarian. When you are speaking, please identify yourself because you are somebody. I don't have a long speech to make. You all know pretty much the procedures as what they go. I get complaints about the length of the board meetings. Part of what I try to do as the parliamentarian is to keep the meetings moving along. And we try to do that. I give time checks. I look at things. I consider our lifestyles. We talk about how we want to recruit youth to our committee meetings, on the board. But do youth have the ability to sit up here till 10 o'clock at night and then go home and write a term paper? Or many of us who got to catch, accessoride or whatever, get home alone. I think about our individual situations, and I try within the scope of being the parliamentarian to keep the meetings going along. Someone had suggested about, having the open hearings here at the full board meetings. And that's a great idea. It's a great idea. Just know in the practicality of this happening, the board meetings will get longer. The agenda is going to be longer. So keep these in mind. What is, as we roll along, yes, we can make all these wonderful, lofty ideals. But then in practice, they will affect each and every one of us. But we got to focus on solutions. And that's what we're here for, to focus on solutions and to keep Bushwick, as another district manager used to say, one Bushwick. One Bushwick. So that's all I have to say. And thank each and every one of you. And thank you again, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who fought for all of us. The Rainbow Coalition, it meant all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Parliamentary.
Next, we have the 83rd Precinct report. Deputy Inspector.
Good evening, everyone. Deputy Inspector Maffey, 83rd Precinct Commanding Officer. So during our last meeting, at the Community Council meeting, there was a concern raised about commercial trucks traveling on Bushwick Avenue. Bushwick Avenue is not a truck route, so trucks shouldn't be traveling down it. However, trucks are allowed to go off the truck route within 3 blocks as long as they're picking up or delivering. So because it was raised as a concern, we did some operations on Bushwick Avenue. The first thing I noticed is there could be some more signage along the corridor to explain to the truckers that this is not a truck route. We also did some car stops. So we stopped 30 trucks during 2 operations. 77% of those truckers, or 23, were off the truck route in violation of the truck route rules. So they received summonses. Why are they doing that? Either they're unaware or they're trying to kind of get over and beat around traffic, right? So that's going to be something we're going to maintain vigilance on, because I'm not sure if it's going to be corrected after 2 operations. So we're going to keep our eye on it. Since we've last met, luckily we've had no firearm violence. We are down in our assaults and down in our GLAs. GLA is a theft of a vehicle or a scooter or motorcycle. We are up in our robberies, burglaries, and grand larcenies, and I'm going to get into that deeper. However, only compared to last year, if we take out 2025, we're doing very, very well as a command. We're either beating or just about even with all of our crime references except for last year. Last year could be a multitude of reasons why we were down in crime, from officer deployment, different people in the community, laws. So we're trying to figure that out, why we're struggling, but we are going in the right direction as far as crime goes. So what we're seeing with our robberies, I believe that first off, the juvenile robberies, they're occurring after school. We believe that students are coming from Queens, the 104 precinct, coming over to our side. That's the command that we border up to. They're committing robberies in Bushwick and Brooklyn, and they're going back to the 104. So what I did with that was I reached out to the 104 commander. We came up with a robbery plan. We have a robbery zone. I'm going to send my youth officers in that area. They're avoiding our school posts, and they're committing these crimes elsewhere. So we're going to have to redeploy to those spots to try to get a handle on this. Hopefully we can identify them and then give them some type of resources or outreach to change their behavior, to do something positive instead of robbing people. With the grand larcenies, bar and clubs are leading the way, unattended property. I spoke on that last time. Do have a lot of operations and a lot of foot post deployment, which I'm going to get into further later. We saw a significant decrease in car breaks. Probably because of the snow and the weather. You couldn't crawl underneath the car to get the catalytic converter because the car was buried in by snow, right? So, but I am trying to deploy a team on the overnight to help us deal with our car breaks and our car thefts. We do have new officers in the command. I've deployed them from Jefferson to Menahan, from Wyckoff to Wilson. That's our robbery zone. That's our club zone. They're on foot patrol. They work at night. On the weekends, they work until about 4:30 in the morning. They're addressing our clubs, our bars, our robberies. I'm going to get into that a little bit further. We did add a new member to the team, Officer Ramirez, to Community Affairs. She's out on vacation this week. She will be at the next meeting. She'll introduce herself if she's welcome to. Okay, so on Monday, February 9th at about 5:30 p.m., what's being called currently as an accidental firearm discharge did take place inside the 83rd precinct. This is an open case that's being investigated by the Force Intelligence Division. What that means is an incident took place inside the command that's being investigated by an outside agency or outside department within the NYPD. It's an open case, so I can't discuss it any further. There were no significant or serious injuries related to that accidental discharge. Community notification. So I do have a few chats with some of the elected officials, some of the community members, and some of the clergy members. If I feel that we have an incident within the precinct, and not just me, some of my officers as well, and we feel that the public safety is in danger, that we need the assistance of the public, or that someone in the community would need a resource or an agency assistance, we're going to put that out in our community notification protocol. If it doesn't hit those characteristics, I generally won't put it out. A newsworthy incident is almost everything the NYPD does. So everything that happens in the precinct, I don't blast out. But if it's, again, a danger to the community is in need of services, or I need the services of the community, I will broadcast that in the community notification protocol. We recognized an officer in January for making a very graffiti arrest along Wyckoff Avenue on New Year's Eve. She's a new officer. It took a lot of initiatives. She ended up chasing down the perpetrator, placing him on arrest. He had a knife on him. He ended up using graffiti on a building. That building did not want that graffiti on it. It wasn't like an artistic mural type thing. It was a generic graffiti tag. So she made a great arrest with that. Before I go to questions, I'm just going to talk about bar clubs because it was mentioned. So I've been in the command for 2 months. Very, very quickly, I discovered that we do have a bar club zone, which I made, Jefferson down to Willoughby, Wyckoff over to Knickerbocker. In my little club zone where I deploy my cops on foot, I can identify 17 clubs or bars in that tight little window. I'm talking from Wyckoff, Star Troutman, 17 bars and clubs. Okay. There's another grouping over on Wilson, 9 bars and clubs, right? In the command alone, we have 90 bars and clubs, 90, right? So it's a vast overtaking. We've been able to identify like the top 10 problematic ones. I'm not going to list them, but what we're doing to address that is deploying officers on foot, working at night. We're trying to establish a dialogue with these bars and clubs because in theory, we should be on the same team. They don't want their patrons being victimized. I don't want anyone being victimized. With that also goes outside the bar and club with the quality of life, right? The graffiti arrest, urination, drinking, littering, stuff like that. These people are leaving the locations and they're surrounded by some residents. So deploying a foot patrol presence up there, engaging in dialogue with the clubs and the bars. And then another tool we have is something called the CURE program. What that is if I determine a bar or club to be problematic, I refer them to the CURE program. Those are outside agencies that try to advise them how to properly act. If that's received well, then it's just a dialogue and a conversation. If it's not, that's when inspections start to take place. Are you running your business correctly? Or is there too many people inside the location? The security guard's licensed. Are you serving to underage? Things like that. All right. We do conduct operations in our bar club zone. Okay. We do have bars and clubs serving to underage that I've deployed. We do have unlicensed security guards. It's a problematic thing in the A3. I'm well aware of it. We're working on it. It's not going to get fixed overnight, but that's why I'm deploying all of my foot posts to that zone. When I say all my foot posts, you have about 18 cops that are more new, 2 senior cops and a sergeant that just go into that little box. They work every single day, but all of them are in Friday, Saturday, Sundays. That's the biggest deployment of that. The other days, half is off, half in, so they go down to 9, but they work every single day. They're out there right now. Okay, so I'm well aware of that. That's why I kind of grabbed you on the side, right? I'd like to speak to that other person, but okay. With that, I'm finished, and I'll do questions now. If anyone, thank you.
Anyone? Ms. Spelling, so what was that? 1, 2.
Hi, Annette Spelling, Community Board 4. Did you mention something about burglaries being up? Is there a specific area in which burglaries are being?
So yeah, she asked if burglaries, which I skipped over. Burglaries are up. What I'm seeing is the non-traditional burglaries. So the burglaries of rooftops or abandoned apartments or even basements. Also, what I'm seeing is former residents returning to their residence when they shouldn't be going there. Former roommates returning to their roommate communal living locations, as well as I'm seeing some packages. So, and I believe this was mentioned at another CB4 meeting, we are getting in the community package lock boxes. They're being deployed within the neighborhood. What that is like a localized locker setup that when you order a package, instead of it going to your house or your apartment and being left in the lobby unsecured, it's going to go to a lockbox that's going to be secured. The lockbox is going to have a code that only you're going to know and the person who put it in there. You're going to then get notified, hey, your package is in the lockbox, which might be a block away from your house. You type in the code, you get your package. I've seen it work in other commands. It's successful. Is it problematic sometimes because you have to leave your residence and maybe walk a block or 2 or 3, right? It is. But that package is in this secured foot locker type thing that has several, it's not just one, it's, maybe 12 or 15 little boxes that lock. Okay. But that's what I'm seeing with the burglaries.
Got one here.
Hi, Ben Tucker. I'm a community board member. I appreciate the attention to the trucking on Bushwick Avenue. I live on Bushwick Avenue, and I will say this is a 24/7, 365 issue. And we've brought it up numbers of times at the board. I serve on the transportation committee, and it comes up all the time there.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what the long-term plan is there.
So this is probably not something I can summons my way out of. There's so many truckers, right? Engineering would help. So whether or not I can pull off DOT implementing a speed bump or some type of overhead thing to not allow trucks down that road, right? Because as much cops that I deploy out there, if it's going 24/7 every single day, it's going to be hard to address, right? So I'm hoping the signage so the trucker realizes, I got to get off this road, right? Summonses, enforcement from the police, any type of engineering I can come up with, whether a speed bump so they know I can't make this road, it's going to be difficult. It's a long, long roadway. Maybe I'll start. If you have a more problematic piece of it, and then we could talk afterwards, like a certain intersection or a certain road, they're always doing that. But yeah, that's kind of the way I'm trying to attack it.
Yeah, just looking at the data of where crashes are happening, there's a lot of car crashes happening towards the side closest to Flushing Avenue, on the side closest to Williamsburg.
Yeah, north.
And that I can back it up with my own observation. But I will say I commend that there's an effort being made, but generally speaking, if I see a truck driving on that route, I will try and tell them, hey, this is not a truck route. You'll get a ticket. They're friendly about it. People don't want to get tickets. People don't want to get summons. And most people are just there, especially truckers driving through New York. Not many of them are regularly driving through the city, and they're just navigated that way. And so communication and signage, I agree with you, would be a great first step.
Yeah.
But yeah, any effort would be helpful.
Thanks. Thank you.
Got one here.
Hi, James Stewart, CB4.
Hi.
I know that there has been in the news lately about the criminalizing of parking in front of fire hydrants. And so where is the NYPD with that? Could we know that this is an issue in the community about people parking in front of fire hydrants?
Parking on a hydrant is parking. You get a ticket for that. Criminalizing that, I haven't heard that. So I can't speak on that. We did have some success with some hydrant issues. If you have a specific hydrant that's problematic, repeatedly getting parked on, we can address that. As if you contact it with your Q officers, they will then go out and summons. And if we keep hitting it, maybe they'll learn not to park on the hydrant.
I'm on Hemrod and Hemrod Street between Bushwick and Evergreen, which that's a major issue for fire hydrants. But it is in the last few weeks now becoming a criminal offense to park in front of fire hydrants. So I just wanted to know if it was on your radar.
No, I haven't seen that new thing, so I can't speak on that. I just know about the parking summons. So.
Hi, is this working?
Hi.
Christine Malden, Chair of the Permits and Licensing Committee, CB4. One is a comment and one is a question. So I think you mentioned that the Q teams are on the Wyckoff corridor there down to Wilson. Is that right?
So the sector David,
Okay.
you have Q David that does that whole sector. My foot post deployment, I have them along Wyckoff, Star, Troutman, from Jeff down to Willoughby.
Okay.
I made a little zone in there.
Okay. I just wanted to mention, I think you said you identified 17 bars and clubs. There's way more than that. We know from our committee because we have to look up, how many businesses are in the same location. So there's a lot more than that. I don't know if it's still your jurisdiction, but I would encourage you to move that line back to St. Nicholas at least, if not all the way to Cyprus, because there's more and more clubs and bars in that area.
So my list, I have 90 within the A3. I don't know if that's accurate. That's what I was able to come up with.
Right. Just in that little
box area that I made, I have 17 in that little box, but it could be more.
There's a lot more than that, according to the SLA.
Okay.
There's maybe 60, something like this.
Wow. Okay.
I'd be happy to give you the data on that. The other thing was that when you mentioned sort of, a lot of people have referred to it tonight, but the yelling and the urinating and the defecating and all that stuff. I also want to mention there's a big problem with sort of just loitering and the lines. And this is something that it's been really difficult to have the businesses take responsibility for. This is not like, they left my establishment and they're going on to their next venue for the evening. This is like, I'm going out to smoke a cigarette. I'm going back in to get another drink. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm waiting online to get in. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to, but these are some of the other issues that are really, really difficult to get a handle on that we've had a lot of complaints about. This coupled with the amplified music in the streets, the illegal weed trucks. I'm not sure what's being done about that these days, but it's a whole crazy ecosystem in that area. We've been encouraging businesses to install their own decibel meters and things like that. So there's some more self-monitoring. But the question that I have for you was, what is the protocol for a 311 complaint? Because we've heard a lot from both people who live in the neighborhood as well as from the businesses themselves. I think we have one present here that weren't even aware that there were any complaints, that people were even complaining about them. So I'm just wondering, as many people have anecdotally told us, we've made complaints, the cops don't come, they don't do anything. What is the protocol? How far do you all go? What happens when those 311 complaints are submitted?
So it depends on what's stated in the complaint. Now, a 311 complaint comes after the 911 complaint. Okay. And a lot of people call 911. So the officers that are responding to your 311, when they get to it, if they get to it, have gotten more 911 to go and probably 8 more 311, right? So they can't really invest too much to try to fix this problem, which isn't going to be fixed in the 5 minutes they're there. These are more long-term chronic type issues, depending on the complaint. So it's always recommended make the 311 complaint to document it. Now, give as much detail as you can. If you're anonymous, it really stops our ability. I need a complainant who's having an issue. You can still remain anonymous as we're working with you down the road, but I need to know where you are, where this noise is excessive, so I can use a sound meter and find out and then issue the violation, right? So we see a lot of anonymous noise complaints, and it really stops the cops from because they don't know where they go. That's in front of the bar might be fine. They don't know it's around the corner or it's coming up through the back of the bar that they can't even get to. So the best practice is make the 311 complaint and leave some type of callback. I'm saying leave a name. I'm not saying it's your name. I'm not asking for ID, right? But if I have a callback, the Q officers, which I'm going to go to next, will call you back. Now, the Q officers are designated to handle these jobs because they're not going to the 911 calls. They're free to go to these jobs, and they're trained and they have the expertise and they know the summons and the violations. So ideally, if it was me, I would make the 311 complaint with the name and a callback, and I would reach out to my Q officer. Yours is Sector David, Officer Wade, and Officer Anil, via text or an email. Hey, such and such, right? And like I said, they're off Sunday, Mondays, so they have Friday, Saturdays. That's the best bet because you're sending the best cops there to address it. All right. So lodging the 311, reaching out to the Q if you have that relationship. If you don't know who the Q team is and you don't want to know and you don't want to talk to an officer, that's fine. Make the 311 complaint. But officers are going to respond, whether it's patrol or the Q, and they're going to, based on what you give them, this is how far they can take it. Sometimes, a lot of times, the officers are more into the correction mode. So, hey, we have to be trained for noise, but loitering or drinking in front of, they might say, listen, correct this. And then it gets corrected. Now, maybe when they leave, it becomes uncorrected, right? But if you're speaking with the Q officer and I'm seeing the 311s and I read them all and I see this spot keeps getting him, that's when we start doing operations. So you have to make the complaint. And if you have that relationship with the Q officer, that's when we can start to zero in. I know the spots. Well, in my opinion, I know the problematic spots because I'm seeing the complaints. I'm not going to list them, I'm going to say them, but I know a certain street that I actually started putting cops out in front of because it's just getting so difficult, right? And I've cured the most restaurants that they've ever had in this command. I also was very big on the SLAs. So we weren't really doing that well with SLA compliance. Now, every single incident that I'm tying to a bar club, I have an SLA. So it's skyrocketed from like 3, we're up to like 90. All that in totality is slowly going to get us to a point where we can try to really affect the behavior of that location to the best that we can. Sometimes the location doesn't know it's creating a problem, which is why I like to have the dialogue and the communication. They don't realize the speaker, if it just turned, it'd be different. They don't realize that people are stumbling out. They have to maintain a line, stuff like that. So there is an open dialogue. If that's ignored, then we take it to enforcement. But make the 311 complaint, leave a name and a callback. That's only going to help. If you have the relationship with the Q, that's even better. Or my community affairs cops, that's even better. We'll start to identify the more problematic ones, and we'll start there and then work our way out. Okay.
Have to use the mic, otherwise folks on Zoom cannot hear. I also cannot hear.
Thank you so much for that explanation. I really appreciate it. Just to confirm, so you are enabled or empowered to go speak to the businesses when there are problems? Because the anecdotal evidence that we have on the street, both from the sides of the people making the complaints as well as the businesses themselves, is that we never heard there was a problem. So that was the protocol question. I was just wondering how far you go.
It depends on what's mentioned, but yes, if it's identified that this is the area, the officer can investigate that. If it's telling them to go to this spot, they can do that. So yes.
All right, we're closing this. I just want to make sure, Inspector, if you can really check the Google map. When these trucks use the Google map, it's not telling them that, some people are saying that it's not telling them that it's a commercial, that they can't use the truck route, that's not a truck route. So maybe we can follow up on Google map and to make sure that when they do use the Google map, that they don't use that area that's not for trucks.
Matching the whole route.
Correct.
Instead of sending them off down Grand Avenue from the LIE, it's making them get off the LIE, come off on Humboldt, and when they come off on Humboldt, they come all the way down Humboldt and they find their way to Irving. And until we complain to Google Maps, I got a commercial truck myself, and I be punching the commercial, and I know exactly what that gentleman is talking about. We really got to call Google Maps and straighten it out with Google Maps.
Got one more here. We're calling it.
Good evening, everyone. Felix Ceballos, CB4 member. Everybody know from long times ago, the city called the budgets for all the prisons. So I remember before we had a lot of cops in our neighborhood to take care of us, but not anymore. And everybody know why. Also, a lot of private business is in our area, but it's no more Black association in our community. We had to come back with that. And we had to, everybody together to try to support the community. Thank you.
And that is, thank you, Inspector. Our public comment with Inspector. Please, board members, line up, get some food, please. Line up, quiet. We got to go back to the top because we have quorum now. We had 21, no? Yeah. Or 20, no, we don't. We have 22. I'm sorry. We need 22. We don't have quorum. So I'm sorry. Please let him go, Select.
So number 6 on the agenda, introduction of elected officials and other representatives. Other representatives include businesses, community-based organizations, city agencies, or any government agency. Please line up in the middle if you're here in person. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Name and contact info only, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Reyes, representing Assemblymember Eric Martin Dillon. Our office is located at 366 Cornelia Street. Our phone number is 718-386-4576. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Kim Vega from Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office. Our office is at 244 Union Ave, and our phone number is 718-963-3141. Hi, this is Bushwick Housing Independence Project, or BHIP for short. Phone number 929-324-7358. Email bhiporganize@gmail.com.
Please, could you please keep it down? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. We're located at 212 Evergreen Avenue. Phone number is 718-573-1726.
Hello, my name is Madeline Enlow. I'm representing the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, and we are at 209 Geralman Street. And let me give you all my contact number. One moment. So I can be reached at 646-565-9180. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Ash Wolfson. I'm with NYC Mesh, and you can reach me at ash@nycmesh.net.
See no one else in person. Next on Zoom, go ahead, Jonathan.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan Betancourt, representing Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. We're located at 266 Broadway in Williamsburg, and our phone number is 718-599-3658. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person.
Thank you. Fran?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office. Our office is at 56 Pennsylvania Avenue. Our phone number is 718-642-8664. And I also am sorry I can't be there in person today.
Thank you. Jonathan Pomboza?
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Jonathan Pomboza from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office. We are located at 350 J Street in downtown Brooklyn, and our phone number is 718-250-2340. Thank you.
And I'll just repeat one last time. This is an opportunity for any businesses, business owners that would like to introduce themselves, name and contact info. Please line up in person in the middle or raise your hand on Zoom.
Hey, my name is Reed Worrell, representing 101 Wilson Bar. Address is 101 Wilson Avenue. Phone number is 718-497-1098. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Misha Chavez. I'm representing, it'll say Smilodon LLC, but will be called The Museum. My phone number is 954-740-9887. Thank you.
My name is Linda Guess. I own the Preservatory LLC. It's a CPR business in New York City, and I give out basic life support, first aid, CPR, and AED.
Just name and contact information. This is not announcements. That's later.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. If there's no one else, I see one hand on Zoom. Go ahead, Lola.
Oh, was I muted? Hi.
Valerie LeBrew.
Hi, my name is Lola Member. I am representing St. James Libations. We're located at 269 Stanhope Street. Contact information is mgmt@stjameslibations.com.
Thank you.
Valerie LeBrew, representing the First Cornelia Street Block Association that's been around for about 40 years.
Thank you. Welcome back. That's right. Okay, and we have someone else on Zoom. Go ahead, Venus.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Venus Canterbury. I'm the Brooklyn Community Coordinator for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. We are located at 100 Church Street, Lower Manhattan, zip code 10007. My contact information is 917-742-4098. Thank you.
All right, that looks like that's everybody. We will move on now to committee reports, starting with permits and licenses. There's plenty to vote.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to all my committee members who spoke up earlier tonight. I thought that was really helpful to give some context to the full board. Okay, so permits and licenses meant last week we had, I'm going to put my water down. We had one new liquor license application for liquor, wine, beer, cider, Smilodon at 1329 Willoughby. They are here with us tonight. Thank you so much for coming. They will be operating under the name The Museum, and it's a natural history museum inspired bar. And ultimately, their hours of operation, their hours of liquor sales were slightly outside of our stipulations. I think that they were going to submit, and they did submit. So ultimately, the committee voted in support of this application. And yes. Next up, we had 101 Wilson Bar. I think both of these businesses came to introduce themselves earlier. They were just submitting an application for an alteration for the back room in their location. There's an extra room that they want to use as a lounge, so it was an alteration. They've come before us a few times also for outdoor space, and there is a backyard as well, which in the future they may consider. This current application doesn't include that, but in the future they may want to expand further. They're also here this evening. Thank you for coming. And the other notable thing that I'll mention, we voted in support of this application as well. The other thing I'll mention is that the last time they came before the board, they had quite a lot of 311 complaints. And this was one of the examples I was thinking of when I said the businesses are not themselves always aware of the complaints. But upon learning, they really made an effort and absolutely clean, sparkling record ever since. So I just wanted to acknowledge you publicly for that. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that. And for both of you for being here, because it really shows a commitment to the community. Okay, next up, we had a retail dispensary, a cannabis license. Whoops, I went too far.
Community members, if y'all want to go get something, please do. Please, thank you.
This is Bashira International at 133 Wyckoff Avenue, adult use retail dispensary license. This is a retail cannabis dispensary. Their hours of operation were going to be about 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. They mentioned to us that they're from the neighborhood, grew up here in the neighborhood, and were intending to have ID checked at the door with a scanner to verify IDs, which was very much appreciated by the committee. And we had one committee member who asked the question, had a concern over adding more cannabis licenses to a Black and Brown community that already is impacted by substance exposure. So we had a kind of conversation about, there are a lot of illegal establishments, and this was a legal one. So we ultimately also supported this application, but it was a good conversation to note. Beyond that, you all heard some of the other issues that came up tonight, where we talked about the possibility of having a public hearing for some of the more controversial applications before we go into committee to talk about it. I think this is a great idea. I also think it can be sometimes tricky to identify who are going to be the problematic applications. Sometimes people look great on paper, and then, once you start digging in, it's a whole other story, and vice versa. So I just would signal that, but I do think it would be great to have a little bit more time to kind of address our applications. Aside from that, just a couple of notable things, because this has come up. The OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, has recently issued some additional guidance on billboards. This has come up because folks have mentioned frequently that they didn't want cannabis establishments marketing to the youth. So there's some more guidance about signage. There's basically billboards are disallowed, are prohibited, and the definition of those are 55 square feet, so 5 by 11, or however you want to divvy that up, within 100 yards of a licensed premises, or 16 square feet within greater than 100 yards. In addition to that, the OCM followed up with us on licensing decisions on prior recommendations that we had made for other businesses, including 1271 Broadway, Misha's Flower Shop, and 85 Sudam. I'm not going to go into the details of those here today because I don't have them, but basically they scaled back some of our recommendations, but this was particularly notable because the OCM has been much more proactive about letting us know what happens after we do all of our due diligence and all of our work and we deliberate and we meet the businesses. The OCM has been much more proactive about letting us know where they stand and what kind of licenses they actually issued, as opposed to the SLA, which has come up a few times tonight. They don't actually tell us. So we've started to ask, I think, quarterly for, news on basically what happened to the licenses that we made recommendations on, to the businesses that we made recommendations on. So just a different posture, a different relationship. So that's really nice to see coming from OCM. And then there were a couple of changes with the SLA. There's some new licenses that are going to be coming up, private for-profit clubs and corporate dining rooms. There's increased retail-to-retail purchasing flexibility, and expanded liquor license eligibility for comedy clubs, mini golf, VR arcades, pool halls, and axe throwing. So if you wanted to get a drink while you were throwing some axes, I guess you can do that now. Finally, last comment here. Last sort of policy-ish thing is just that we've noted that the Hospitality Alliance, which is really an organization that advocates in favor of nightlife establishments, the head of this organization is in Mamdani's transitional team. So we're just keeping an eye on that because I know that they've not always been super pro community board, so we're just keeping an eye on that. And Rafael Espinal is now, who many of you will remember, is joining the mayor's office of media and entertainment, which is not directly related to nightlife, but it's just a little bit adjacent. Finally, I think that's pretty much it. One of our committee members also built a lovely dashboard for us to review some of the hot spots around when we're reviewing liquor licenses. We're going to go over that, I think, in our next committee meeting, so we'll probably follow up with that a little bit more. And then finally, we had a couple of recommendations for businesses that did not show up. They were Nunu Delivery at 108 Central Avenue, The Sampler at 234 Star, and 895 Bar Dambala. These folks did not respond to repeated attempts to contact them in terms of getting their materials and things like that. So we voted not in favor of those applications. And one additional application will be coming next month before Asura NYC at 31 Wyckoff Avenue. And I think that is pretty much it of note. Did anybody have any questions? The last three businesses? SLA, sorry. They were liquor licenses.
Just to clarify the question that was asked and answered, it was for clarification on the last three businesses that did not show up to the meeting. They are all SLA applicants.
Sorry, Celeste, I will do that in the future. Anything else?
Just one point of information. A representative from Bashira, the OCM applicant, dropped off a one-page sheet of signatures before the meeting started.
Right. So we voted, this is for the retail dispensary for cannabis. We voted in favor of this application, but we asked them to go and do some outreach in the communities. Just to follow up on some of the comments that were made about community outreach. And I guess that they did that. So that's great. Okay. Thank you.
Well, Well, just for point of information, he said he did send us signatures, name and signatures, but no address, so we don't know where they're from. So just for so we don't know if they're from the block or from the area, but it just has the name, the signature, and the date. He collected them, but there's no address on if they live there or not, or maybe they're some of his friends or something. So just want to get some clarification. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next committee report.
Should we go? I make a recommendation.
Finish committee reports. I would say finish committee reports first, and then we can go back to the beginning. So, because we're already in the middle of committee reports. Next, environmental protection.
No, we got one.
Sorry, folks. Good evening. Ben Tucker, Chair of the Environmental Protection, Transportation, Sanitation, and Parks and Recreation Committee. Our committee met this Thursday, the 12th. We had one agenda item. It was an advocacy group called Passengers United. They are a 501c3 nonpartisan transportation advocacy group. They advocate for transportation based on rider needs. And they were there to present to us their own counter proposal to the MTA's Brooklyn bus network redesign. And so for context, folks, the MTA did the initial phase of a full-scale redesign of their bus network in Brooklyn. They did that they started that in 2022, collecting community feedback, and they released a draft plan in December of 2022. Since then, community boards have had the chance to weigh in on it. The MTA has not released the next iteration of the plan, and Celeste, on behalf of the board, has reached out to the MTA a number of times to see if they would come present to us on the next iteration of the plan to gather more feedback. That has been stuck. And so Passengers United came and gave a presentation to our transportation committee on their counter proposal. And it's very dense, and I'm not going to recount it. So if you would like to see it, check the committee report. But I'll give the top level takeaways. Essentially, it is a little difficult to judge the basis of their presentation and kind of measure it against the MTA's because the MTA hasn't released theirs yet. So it was appreciated that they came to us in advance with their view, but we kind of had nothing to base it off of. And an update of that is that we were able to get from Celeste is that the MTA did finally get back to us and say that when the next phase comes out, they'll do community outreach again on it, although this will be what they call the final draft plan. But it is not out yet. It's forthcoming. The overall takeaways from Passengers United. The draft plan took away a lot of the transparency about overnight service, which is a concern for people who need overnight service, who rely on it for work, who are caretakers. So the recommendation of Passengers United is that they feel that, and another context point is that no community board in Brooklyn supported the Brooklyn Borough bus redesign at all. And so he took this as an indication that the MTA should really slow it down on their next iteration and take the time to come to every board and really take our feedback into account. And I agree with that. The committee also agreed with that as well. And then the Passengers United is also calling for more transparency and more transparency in budgeting. And they feel that the MTA should have 1%, which amounts to it's less than 1%, but $26 million allocated specifically for the redraft process. This was an informational presentation, so the committee did not make a recommendation of support on this matter. Since the committee had not met in December and January, the committee mail review was also very, very robust. And so I'm not going to go through it now, but it's also in the report. The one thing I want to highlight, the commanding officer did talk about package theft. Package theft is a rampant issue in Bushwick. The DOT has a pilot project that was mentioned, and the pilot project is a free 24-hour locker service that is accessed through like a smartphone QR or an app that people can use and have their packages sent there. The DOT told us that the pilot was very successful and that they added 2 new locations in Bushwick. So there are actually 5 locations in Bushwick that have these packages. So if you are experiencing problems with getting your packages delivered, I would highly recommend looking up this DOT pilot package locker program. Lastly, we had a couple of items of old business. One is that we had the Ridgewood Rides group come to our committee a few months ago. They gave us a presentation about they're organizing for a bike lane that would connect the Brooklyn Greenway. They had previously organized successfully for a bike lane along, I always forget this, along Cypress Avenue along by Highland Park. And now they were trying to advocate for a bike lane to be created in Bushwick that would connect the bike network. The places that they proposed were either Decatur Street or Cooper Street. And when they came to our committee, there was a little bit of a back and forth. And since then, they have done community outreach, and there's a block association on Cooper Street that is also organizing because they have concerns about whether or not a bike lane should form on Cooper. And so our recommendation as a committee is that we think that this should become a full board town hall hearing as opposed to coming first next to our committee. Next was a similar issue. I wouldn't say an issue, but there's a park, Green Central Knoll. It comes up probably once a month. We have it's ball fields that are permitted only ball fields, and that there are local dog owners who have been taking their dogs there and sort of commandeering it. And turning the space into their own private playground for their dogs, such that it has damaged the space and is making it harder to use as permitted ball fields. A number of times there have been various groups that have come to the committee about this, and so the committee has requested that the board request that Councilmember Jen Gutierrez in District 34 hold a larger town hall as opposed to bringing it first to the committee because we feel like this warrants a larger town hall. If anyone here remembers when the board had to handle the Irving Square Park dog run conversion, there was a lot of robust community feedback. There was a town hall, so it didn't just feel like one group was organizing and another group was organizing. Everybody got to have their bit heard. And then the other was that there was a dog run, there was a Friends of group formed, and it wasn't just for the purposes of creating a dog run, it was for the purposes of having a well-maintained park and the Friends group represented all the users of the park. And so we hope to see something like that happen again, because what happened in Irving Square Park was very successful and led to funding for a dog run that's separate from the playground. It led to a playground upgrade and kind of a best case scenario there. Next is the Brooklyn Parks and Open Space Conference that is in March. I was invited to attend. All of the Brooklyn Community Board, Parks Departments, committee chairs have been invited. It is a convening of parks chairs, advocates, stewardship groups, and agencies from all Brooklyn community boards for panels and workshops. I have asked my committee members for any parks ideas, and if anybody has any ideas for parks related to Bushwick, please approach me after this. It's in late March, so we'll have some time as well. So I would recommend also coming to our next committee meeting. But if you have suggestions, please bring them up here. 3 things that we talked about maybe broaching at this event. One is volunteer tree pruning network. We've had council funding for tree pruning certification because our Parks Department does not have the resources to send tree pruners out across all of Brooklyn, and so that's being supplemented by volunteer work. And so there was a course, but that course costs money, and our council members subsidized it. And we have community members who are trained to prune trees that are growing out of whack in the community. However, we don't know which trees need pruning. So a way of matching the trees in need to the people with the skills was one idea that I plan on bringing up there. And Jason Gers on the committee noted that Bushwick has one of the highest numbers of DEP rain garden stewards. And so a similar program could be done here in Bushwick with our rain gardens. And then committee member Christian Celeste Tate also shared. If anyone knows, Bushwick is home to the only Portland Loo in all of Brooklyn. It's in Irving Square Park. And by all means, Parks Department says that pilot program of putting one Portland Loo, which is this sort of modular cheap bathroom per borough, and testing it out and seeing if it works so we can get more cheap bathrooms everywhere. According to Parks Department, that's working really well in Bushwick. So I hope to share that with everyone else at this gathering of all the Parks community boards. And hopefully if anyone else has any ideas. Additionally, Earth Day is coming up, and our committee and CB4 is interested in some Earth Day activation event. So stay tuned for more information about that. And lastly, Troutman Open Streets. If anyone knows, it's a really wonderful program where Troutman from St. Nick to Irving so Wyckoff Avenue was closed off to traffic for a few hours on Sundays from April to October. There is no partner for that as of right now. So that is not coming back unless we get a partner in the community to sign up to take responsibility for that, or a coalition or a group or a nonprofit partner. So if folks know people who might be interested in that, or if folks feel strongly about that, that is something that the community might lose out on. And that's all. Thank you.
The quick point of information in reference to the Portland Loo, I know we got an update during the district service cabinet meeting last Wednesday that I did report back to the committee that the plumbing froze and busted, and so it's out of order. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to folks. And we also asked if that's something that happened to every single Portland Loo, if it was just the one in Brooklyn. So I want to make sure that folks are knowing what's going on in case we get questions about the bathroom in the park.
Millions of dollars.
Hi, Ben. Joanna Bennett. I think that we heard that there's money, millions of dollars have been allotted to fix Broadway. Is that true? And I think that comes into your, I don't know if you want to announce that, but
that came up at that first came up at the executive board meeting that the latest budget passed. Nidhi Velasquez had secured some funding for us, but I'll let Celeste answer that because I don't.
I think Jonathan is going to be on there. I think Jonathan we're gonna let him chime in when his thing. We don't want to take his. I don't want to take his thunder. I'm just curious in regards to the report. I see that it says quorum wasn't established. Was it established?
It eventually was established.
Yeah, but it doesn't reflect the minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we had to table the recommendation for the meeting minutes, and then we brought it back up later
on. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Next.
Sorry, Celeste, can I ask a question? Is it possible to repeat the Portland Loo information?
Yes, Rich Williams, the park manager, let us know during last Wednesday's district service cabinet meeting that the plumbing froze when it was extremely cold outside and it's out of order. It's no longer in commission as of that conversation. I don't know if they've since made any significant repairs, but it seemed to be a pretty significant issue.
Got it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Ann Guiney, chairperson of the Economic Development and Housing and Land Use Committee. We met on Tuesday, January 27th, last Tuesday of the month. Everybody's always welcome. No meeting this coming month. So just cross that off your calendars. And we had a number of different things. We had a presentation from Crystal Jallo, who is the Intergovernmental Affairs Liaison from the NYC Department of Buildings. They have she basically gave us a very comprehensive tutorial on something called DOB Now. DOB, the Department of Buildings, it's all the permitting, all the certificates of occupancy, if there are violations, and it's designed to be a more user-friendly way of finding stuff. You can search by a number of different ways, from address, if you're more technical, like the lot number, stuff like that. And it's really basically supposed to be, and I just checked the website, which it seems like it's not up quite yet today or just now. But if you Google DOB Now, you would find it, and it's supposed to be your one-stop shop as, consumer facing information for stuff like violations, permits, all of that. So I send that all to you. They're incredibly detailed notes in the meeting minutes, which are slightly chaotic this month. It's 25 pages, which is wild. But the good thing is all the information is there and you can go through it because it's all bullet pointed. Our second presentation was from Isaiah Piku, who's a legislative research assistant from Office of Assembly Member Stephanie Zinnerman. This is the 56th Assembly. This was basically a presentation on county-wide cease and desist legislation. For those of you who are aware of that, cease and desist is basically about trying to stop the predatory real estate, people knocking on your door, showing up with, a literal duffel bag full of dollars, or like really, really almost harassing people, calling them nonstop. It is countywide. So all of Kings County, this has to happen at the state level. There has been some work on that in East New York, but the assembly member was asking for this community board support in that. And so and she's a representative for Bedside and Crown Heights. So it overlaps a little with CB3, CB8, but I think we're seeing this too. One of the reasons is deed theft and deed fraud has been a real issue. We've been talking about this for minimum a decade here, really 25 years, but even at the community board, we've been talking about it long time. So it's really, if you can opt in, if you are a homeowner, you can opt in to say, I do not want people calling me 17 times a day, or honestly, ever. If I want to sell, I get to make that choice by myself, and I don't need somebody literally banging on my door. I think we've seen a lot of seniors. It's apparently a huge problem in Bed-Stuy, more so even than in Bushwick, though it's a real problem here too, of, seniors, they have this lovely old house. The kids maybe don't live in Bushwick anymore or Bed-Stuy anymore. And, very, very bad things can happen in terms of property and ownership and all of that. So again, very detailed notes. This is opt-in. If it passes, you get to choose. You don't have to choose to be in it. So it's not forcing anything on anybody. And again, this is really just trying to give some extra protections to people who need it. So again, detailed notes. We did talk about why would renters support this? Well, because we care about our community. I am a renter. I don't want people to be harassed and, cheated out of their house. That's to me seemed like, as an individual, not speaking for the board, seemed like a total, no brainer. Of course we support this because we want people to be able to make those choices ourselves. We did not have a quorum. So what we did do at the end of the conversation was to say, we will ask the full board, because it's time sensitive, if we could, as a recommendation, support this legislation. It does not seem like we have quorum right now, or maybe we do.
I made us some calls. We have quorum. But we also had the executive board, because we met, they happened to meet first.
Exactly. Thank you for that clarification. Right. Yeah, no, at the executive board, when I had presented this, the executive board also said, we're behind this. So that's good. The next issue was, and it's just a specific letter saying yes, CB4 supports this. That's all. That's the ask. Next issue was Jacques Brunville, who is from the city's small business services, basically gave us a rundown, what do we do? And so everything from legal and permitting stuff to training to business plan development. If you are a person who either has a small business or wants to start and launch your small business, there is a lot of city support. And I think they're just trying to get the word out. So he gave a presentation, which is in our committee materials. And we had asked, maybe you can come back and share this more broadly, because basically saying get the word out. Like, we will spread the word to the best of our abilities, but you guys should also potentially come to the community board. And again, it's everything from like, connecting job seekers to quality employment, to working with business improvement districts, merchant associations, stuff like that. So it's really quite broad. What their stuff is. They have a mobile outreach unit, which again, we supported. So that was good. And we are trying to develop a more robust relationship with SBS because we would like to support small businesses in Bushwick. I mean, I think there are a few big stores and banks and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff, you walk up and down Wyckoff, you walk up and down Broadway, small businesses. And so we want to support that to the best of our ability. All right. Then the next issue was this was an internal matter, more of like, how can we make the committee work better? How can we make sure that everybody has the information they need? A lot of it's really technical. Like, we're not expecting anybody to become an urban planner just to participate in that committee. And so it's a ongoing conversation at the committee, which everybody is always welcome to attend, no matter if they're on it or not. And we always, we want more people to come. So it was really just talking about that and how to talk about things like the committee mail, which, I think the committee mail was 30 pages this month because there was so much. That's chaos. Like, that's too much. And I was getting too detailed, and I don't think anyone ever read it. Bullet points from now on. So that's the plan. And then, all right, so we did make a recommendation, which is to support this letter for the cease and desist zone. And then finally, I would like to flag for everybody March 26th at 6 p.m. I'm not sure if it's going to be in person or not, but it is a land use training, and that is specifically for CB4 and members of our community. We want as many people as we can to join it. Let's learn, let's get all the tools that we need to make better, more informed decisions, so that when somebody comes to the Housing and Land Use Economic Development Committee with this huge presentation about a big potential building, we know we can ask the smart questions, and we're not like just overwhelmed by if they throw all the data at you. We want to have all the tools right there and ready to make sure that we can then represent our community in the best possible way. So mark your calendars, the 26th. And then we're also, new business was just that we are looking at trying to be more forward looking on this committee. And so not just react, but to say what is coming down the pike in Bushwick, therefore. And so that's a conversation we've been having for a while. Again, last Tuesday of the month, except for this month, because we just don't have anything on the agenda, at the district office, every single person here, whether you're on the community board or not, is always welcome to come. Please do join us sometimes. Any questions?
Hearing none, seeing none. Thank you, Ann. All right, we're going back to the acceptance of the agenda because we now have quorum. Is there a motion from the board? By Courtney Henley. Is there a second? Joanna Bennett seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Courtney Henley makes the motion to accept. Second by who? Felix Ceballos. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right. Now we move on to the chairperson's report, Mr. Camacho.
I have two. I know Celeste gave me two, executive board, and also, so I'm going to try to mix it up as fast as I can. On January 24th, Saturday at 12, I was at 251 Wyckoff, was invited by Riseboro. There's a new restaurant in that area. The individual that owned and wanted us to see the board's presence and say hi and welcome to the community on January 27th, Tuesday at 11. CB4 district manager, myself, we were met with the new high school superintendent. That same day, CB4 Economic Development, Housing, Land Use. I was at the meeting on the 29th, Thursday at 12. CB4 and the district manager met with the inspector. We sat down, and Ms. Spellings was there. We met with him since he's new, let him know what's going on. I guess Ms. Spellings she didn't pick up on it, but yes, February 3rd, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Borough Board meeting. And the topic was the OML law, which is the Open Meetings Law. There's going to be, there was a committee formed to conduct a resolution on a revision of the Open Meetings Law for the borough boards. 18 borough boards were there, plus all our representatives from council. We did have a quorum to allow for the full virtual hybrid meeting. This is just a draft because they have to read it 3 times for 3 months, and there's things that need to be added onto it. Meaning, whereas the function of, they have to put 18 community boards. Also, what was not on there that we were, would allow the full board to go virtual on public bodies like community boards. It's being revised to vote 2 consecutive times. So it's going to be revised now. They highlighted that hybrid meetings were able on the COVID. As you know, it expires June 2026. A lot of community boards did not have money for Zoom or operate Zoom or employees to operate the Zoom. As you know, we have our first vice chair operating because we don't have. And we have the district manager over there by herself with also from Monday to Thursday. As you know, Adelina is there, and then she's there Fridays. And so we're short. So we're pushing along. That also, they indicated funding. They really need funding to do that. So there's going to be more down the pipeline. And it says, whereas one of the functions with the community board to cooperate, consist, and assist, divide any public office agency, local administration agency bodies, the borough president with respect to any member related to the welfare of the district or the residents. Whereas during the COVID, the pandemic, public body was able to meet virtual, and state legislative, executive office of governor in the state of New York, whereas the ability to support and conduct full virtual and hybrid meeting is critical for the city and the state to operate in the 21st century, whereas open law meeting provision allows hybrid meeting to expire June. So it's not really we're starting to build it and add to it and take away from it. I know they're supposed to add 18 board meetings where we're supposed to add money to some of the board members that don't have, which is funding allocated to the community board for purpose to expand in capacity and support the full hybrid meeting. So it hasn't been, added to some of these things. So this is just a breakdown of what we're doing. As soon as the committee makes add and takes away and does it full, I'll get a copy and then they'll vote on it and submit a copy to the full board so they can review it, see it, and obviously there is no vote on it because that's the body. Remember, that's Albany. Everybody's got to go through the same thing. So it ain't just us. It's everybody with the hybrid. So even businesses. So you know, it's really, I don't know how that's going to work, but we're working on that. Now we're trying to figure that out somehow. Also, Wednesday, as you know, the executive board did meet. We met. There were recommendations on recommendations. I will fill you in on. There was one on recommendation. Also on the 10th, on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Zoom, I went to with Wyckoff. We had a task force. There is a task force on Wyckoff. I know that they added more vendors and licenses. Thank God. So hopefully we'll get, I don't know how that's going to work in the past. It's going to be permanent now. So we're still trying to get someone to operate. I don't know if the Myrtle bid is going to take it up. I don't know. So we'll see. If it is, that same day was the PCP meeting, which I attended on February 11, Wednesday, District Service Cabinet at 12 o'clock. There was a press release on Wyckoff for, there's a, thank God, Woodhall is working with Wyckoff for people that overdose. There's a program in there. It's really, I wish that both of my brother-in-laws that OD'd and died in their homes, there was a program like this to assist them because they would have been alive today, you know, with addiction. So there is a program coming down the pipe. They got money now to service, and there's hopefully we'll have the individual come do a presentation and find out what it is that she's doing there and how is it that we can work together if someone does interact with someone that has an overdose. You know, who can we go, who can we see and assistance, give them services. I was very happy to see that a private hospital as Wyckoff and a city are working together to attack that problem. So I was there in a press release on the 12th, the CEC, District 32. Also, I was trying to get on Zoom with the EPTCS, but it was hard because I couldn't get on the Zoom and also on there because you have to get on the Zoom with DOE. So it was hard for me to get on. Yes, I went to the 8th Precinct Council. I was concerned because I had gotten, as you saw the deputy inspector say that there was a discharge, rookie discharge's gun in the locker room, but we didn't hear from it until social media got it first. And I received it through social media. Then I went and called him. And he said it was his wordings were that it was an internal and that they're investigating. I don't know what internal means. So I took it upon myself to say, well, mind your business. I'm not going to give you any information. Well, I told him that at the 8th Precinct Council, all the elected officials received that, and they gave him an earful. And then 5 minutes later, they inquired the community affairs officer to post something on the blast, and he did. And I guess we put him on the spot. I also let him know that there were 2 people to interview for the position and that we got 2 bad apples. I felt that we got a bad apple and Bushwick shouldn't be treated this way because we worked with our officers and with our commanding, no matter who it is. If something happens, I think they should be up and honest and open with us, especially the community and our elected officials. And I want to thank our elected officials that are here that put the pressure for him to put something out there because social media was putting something that wasn't right. And I don't think that our officers should be treated that way. I think they should be an investigation, yes. I think there was a discharge, yes. And to say to me that it's internal and it happened in our community, I guess, it's like a slap in the face. But I guess he got the point. And thank you for elected officials for addressing that. Because the person that put it on social media wasn't nice about it. So on the 18th, I also went to the clergy meeting, and they themselves were a little disheartening in what's going on in some of these churches. They also saw that church that's on Harmon and Myrtle gone. The church that's on Madison closed down. What's going on with that? The church that's on Grove and Central, what's going on with that? And yet we have young pastors here, like Swave, and churches here in this community that want to get a space for our congregations, and they're running into competitions with night-like activities and bars and weed spots, cannabis, legal cannabis than a church. So it's competition. So hopefully we can assist them. We're trying to, with the clergy, to see if we can get all our churches together. If there's spaces where they can utilize and use and have open spaces where they can share the wealth, meaning pay the bills and help them to stay afloat. Hey, let's think out the box. And that's something that we should be doing because people need space. And our churches really need the space. They were our pillars in our community, and we should be supporting them. And also today, the full board meeting is there. Let me take a quick look. I know there was a board that was really concerned, CB5, and I echoed in regards to the ADA, which is the accessibility that they have at 126 Pennsylvania Avenue, that they meet there. That is not ADA accessible. And they were complaining for 4 to 5 years. And still to this day, they don't have. And we want to make sure that they do have, because they have a board member that is, they don't have also the Zoom. So there are boards that are not. So we're trying to assist them and help them to get accessibility for this board member. Ken, I know that the borough president, Antonio Reynoso, I heard, I'm not too sure if it's true, he allocated funding there to have. I'm not too sure what's going on with the money. The ramp that they need for the board members to ADA that do want to go there and participate in their CB5. So we echoed that, and we told the borough president, we told everyone, and I addressed to them and said, if this was a private developer, everybody would be on an uproar. But since this is a city building, nobody's fighting. So, it's a double-edged sword. And that's exactly what I told our borough president. If this was a private, everybody will be there protesting and fighting. And this is a city-owned building. City-owned building, 126 Pennsylvania, because the PD is in there. They don't have ADA accessible, and their board members can't go to the meeting because of wheelchair accessibility. So, just the stairs, and you go to the first floor. If anybody's been there, there is no elevator to go. Elevator goes all the way up. There's only accessibility to go into the entrance, because I have been there before. And that is this. And there is a recommendation on there that will tell you on their recommendations. Thank you, Celeste, because you gave me a Bible, so I'm not going to read all this. Thank you.
Any questions going once, going twice? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to the district manager's report. I will try to keep mine as brief as possible. Good evening, everyone. Happy belated Presidents, Valentine's, and Chinese or Lunar New Year, depending on how you celebrate. This month, the board welcomes 16 new public members for midterm appointments. Congrats. If any public members are here, can you please wave or stand Public committee members, okay, I see some, and then I know we have some on Zoom as well. Thank you for being here. This is not a required meeting, but we do have plenty of public members that participate. And I'm going to just give some highlights from meetings that I've attended. Mr. Camacho mentioned some that we joined together. A public member, also resident near Myrtle Broadway, brought up concerns regarding that area. We know it has a history. There used to be a task force that was spearheaded when our current borough president was the council member. Hopefully we'll see some attention paid to that area to address those concerns. I also joined a Pratt event about comprehensive planning. We've had a variety of conversations. Bushwick was actually one of the first communities within recent history to have an unprecedented community plan, comprehensive plan, which is really exciting. Hopefully those conversations will continue both on the district level and also citywide. Let's see. I spoke with Alvaro Lopez. Some of you may know who he is. He is now the Brooklyn director of the Office of Mass Engagement. It was an introduction and a check-in. It's still unclear how they will interface with community boards. But for those that are familiar, the mayor's community affairs unit has now been turned into the Office of Mass Engagement. So hopefully we'll get more information on that and we'll have someone come give a presentation soon. And then we also, let's see, I spoke with, some of you may know Beta NYC. They had they call it Beta Bagels. It was their 13th. This one, the theme was community boards and public interest tech. I was invited along with some community board members to talk a little bit about the community boards to the folks that were participating. It's very well attended. There were about 90 folks that joined at 9:30 on a Friday morning to hear a little bit more about how community boards serve their communities, how they can get involved, and just how they can generally be of assistance. There were a lot of, as you can imagine, technology questions, and it was interesting to hear from perspectives of other board members about technology that they don't have, and also to clarify that the board brought me on to implement certain technology measures. That same day, I spoke with someone who reached out from Empower LA, also known as the Los Angeles Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. They wanted to know a little bit more about NYC community boards as they enter their own charter revision process. So I spoke with the general manager. They have, I want to say it's 99 councils across the Los Angeles area that have they serve in a similar capacity. And they essentially weigh in on matters that affect the areas that they serve. And we have a volunteer in the office, a Fordham University psychology student named Sophia Beals. She's going to be working on a community-based organization project and also has a special focus on mental health and youth. I also met with Kim Vega and Frank Kuka. For those of you that haven't met Frank, he's a new chief of staff for Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez. We talked a lot about Bushwick and Williamsburg nightlife. Hopefully, we're going to see some next steps come out of that within the next few months as the weather gets warmer. And I conducted 8 out of the 16 public committee member orientations based on folks who were available. And the last thing that I have here is the Independent Budget Office. We have a lot of fans of their reports. They did join the Future of Community Boards Working Group for a special presentation on city agency headcount and staffing trends and the impact on service delivery. NYPD was a part of that. I believe sanitation was a part of that, and HPD was also a part of that. I have a transcript from that, so I'm happy to share that with anyone that's interested and can also make that available during our budget discussions. That concludes my report. Thanks, everyone. All right, we are at recommendations. Mr. Camacho, would you like to go first?
Yes, on executive board, they want to authorize our district manager to draft a letter to council members supporting the baseline budget adjustment increases for community boards. There hasn't been an increase for decades. Also mirroring CB4's letter and advise this is a recommendation to the full board, which I am doing now.
I make a motion in support. Ann Guiney makes a motion in support.
All in favor?
James Stewart seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. I think that was it, right?
So we also have the cease and desist legislation. Yep. So essentially, the executive board made a recommendation to support the cease and desist legislation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, anyone make a motion?
Joanna Bennett made the motion to support. Ben Tucker, seconds.
All in favor? Any opposed and abstention? Motion carried. I think that, yeah, that's it.
All right, next, permits. I believe that's the only other committee with recommendations this evening. Please just summarize, yeah.
Just as a reminder, we had one new liquor, wine, beer, cider license, Smilodon at 1329 Willoughby Avenue, that the committee voted to support in favor of with the amended hours. And then next up, we had 101 Wilson, which was an alteration, which we had voted in support of as well. And then finally, we had, oh no, the other one, it's not finally. We voted in favor of allowing Sura NYC 31 Wyckoff Avenue to come back next month for a wine, beer, cider license. And then we voted not in favor for the following SLA applicants: Nunu Delivery at 108 Central, The Sampler at 234 Star, and 895 Bar LLC doing business as Dambala, because they did not submit the required documentation. And then finally, for the OCM applicant, Bashira at 133 Wyckoff, we did vote in favor of supporting this application with the additional signatures, which it has been brought to my attention did not include addresses, but there are about 21 new signatures on there. So I don't think that we should change anything at this time. I do think it's a point for us to perhaps, have a clearer signature form or something like that when we ask folks to do that. Those were our recommendations.
Motion from the board. So James Stewart's going to say something. I don't know what he's going to say yet.
I'm going to say blanket vote.
James Stewart made a motion to blanket vote the Permits and Licenses Committee recommendations. Is there a second? Christian Celeste Tate, seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Yep, just let me just get all opposed and you can state why. So yeah, this is the blanket vote. So Courtney Henley is opposed. Is anyone else opposed or abstaining from a blanket vote? I hear no one. Would you like to say into the mic?
I'm just opposed to the last, including Bashir in a blanket vote, because I do feel like if you're going to do community outreach, do it properly. 21 people is nothing. You didn't do it properly with the addresses. They should go back to them and tell them to get proper community outreach before we just blanketly say yes to them.
So the blanket vote, the motion is carried. But would you like to include what you just said as an amendment to the recommendation for that applicant? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion on that recommended amendment?
Yes.
Annette Spellin makes the motion for the amendment to the recommendation. Is there a second? Joanna Bennett seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The recommendation for that applicant will be amended and the blanket vote still stands. So now is there a motion for the recommendations? Joanna Bennett makes the recommendation, second by Felix Ceballos. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. And I believe that's it for recommendations this evening. Woo, painless. All right. Old business, going once, going twice. I see no hands on Zoom. So we'll move on. New business, going once, going twice. I see no one in person. I see no one on Zoom. We'll move on. Announcements. A minute and a half. Mr. Camacho is timing you. Please.
And Guiney Housing and Land Use and EDC, one thing I forgot to mention in the report, there is a borough-wide training on comprehensive planning and what that could look like tomorrow. You probably got it in your email from Celeste, but it's about like how do like Bushwick and Gravesend, how do we all pull our weight? Like looking at it as the whole borough and not just like one little neighborhood. It's going to be super interesting, and I'd like to know a lot more, and that's tomorrow, 6 p.m.
Ms. Bennett has moved for announcements to be 1 minute. James Stewart seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. You can proceed.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Kim Vega from Councilmember Gutierrez's office. We just have a few announcements. This Thursday, so tomorrow at 6 to 8 p.m., we will have our Black History Month celebration in partnership with all of our other elected officials and local organizations. It's going to be at PS 250 on 108 Montrose Ave, again from 6 to 8 p.m. I left some flyers over there. We're also seeking PB delegates. If anyone wants to help decide what projects make it to the PB ballot for District 34, you can come to me and I can add you to a list of people interested, and we'll be sending out meeting dates soon. And then we have our local clinics. All of that is over there. Housing, core, lottery applications, or Citizenship Now with CUNY. Flyers over there. Again, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Collado, tenant organizer with the Bushwick Housing Independence Project, or BHIP for short. We're announcing that after 2 years of consistent community meetings and working with Bushwick tenants, we have a senior leadership team that is officially launching our tenant union, and we're very proud of. We're actually focused on repairs and negligence in Bushwick, and that includes all 4 zip codes, no matter the type of apartment, NYCHA, house. Anyone who has a C or a B violation should definitely come to the meeting. The meeting will be next Wednesday, February 25th from 6 to 7:30, and it's going to be at 1420 Bushwick Avenue on the 3rd floor. The entrance would be through the back, through the parking lot. We'll have pizza, great discussion. Please come. Our contact number 929-324-7358. Email bhiporganize@gmail.com. Thank you.
My name is Linda Guess. I own the Preservatory LLC, which is a up and coming CPR business. I offer first aid, CPR, AED, basic life support, injuries and splint, and things and other classes of that nature. I do issue e-cards, and I am a 4-fee service. So if anybody's interested in taking a picture of a flyer, feel free to ask me to come by, and I will let you take a picture. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brett. I'm a resident of CB4, right on the border of CB1. And just wanted to, in the past month or so, it seems like there's been a lot more communication between CB1 and CB4 on new liquor license, and which is certainly relevant to a lot of the discussion that was happening tonight, and especially the community not necessarily having a say or meaningful impact on things that are quite literally at their front doorstep or backyard, as it will be. So there are some major discussions happening on the 25th of February with regards to, I know there's the Avant Gardner, which previously was doing.
I'm not very good with computers. Oh yeah, you on a laptop? Yeah, but that's different. This is easier.
Yeah, so when a lot of the nightlife establishments that are right on that border, people tend to go through CB4 to get to them, whereas the vote happens in CB1, and we're not necessarily aware of that. In particular, Avant Gardner, which has outdoor sound until 6 a.m. CB1 has asked for comments. So if anybody that has comments on the hours of operation, to please email CB1. I can give the email if I still have time.
It is up, but we have the information. We shared it with the committee, but we thank you for being here to publicly announce.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with some announcements from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, Antonio Reynoso. My name is Madeline Enlow. I'm the new liaison for CB4 from Borough Hall. So first, I want to let you know that capital applications are now live. Every year, the Brooklyn Borough President invests in infrastructure projects that help make our borough a better home for Brooklynites, from schools and affordable housing to community centers, cultural organizations, hospitals, libraries, parks, and neighborhood streetscapes. Capital funding delivers real improvements in neighborhoods across our borough. Applications must be submitted by February 19th. That's tomorrow at 5 p.m. And it was mentioned before, but there's going to be a webinar for the comprehensive plan tomorrow between 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. for community board members. You should have received an email about this. There's going to be an event, Uprose Community Briefing on February 21st. There's some flyers on the table there. It's actually going to be it's in Gowanus. It's an opportunity to help shape the future developments of the Gowanus and Narrows Peaker plant sites. The briefing will take place between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. at 462 36th Street. And at Brooklyn Borough Hall on February 25th, there's going to be a panel, a Black woman's lawyer panel in honor of Black History Month, and it will be 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. February 25th. Brooklyn Borough Hall is also offering free tax prep from February 2nd to April 8th, and eligible New Yorkers can access free tax filing services provided by IRS certified volunteers. Appointments are available Monday and Wednesdays between 10 a.m. and 4. There's also flyers on the table over there. You must make an appointment. No walk-ins will be accepted. And the ULURP hearing schedule for this year, it is also on the table there. It will be every second Wednesday of the month. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Juanita James. I'm with the Brooklyn Public Library, Washington Irving Library. So to give you some information, we're helping out with taxes, certain selected branches. So if you need information with that, go to bklynlibrary.org/tax help. Also, there's selected branches that are hosting Brainy Babies. That's activities for the babies to promote language development and social emotional skills. Unfortunately, Washington Irving is not doing that, but we have our own story time on Mondays and Thursdays. It's on the calendar. Also, our selected branches are doing free notary public, but that's appointment only. Thank you and good night.
Hi all, Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. We continue to have tenant support unit in our office first Tuesday of the month from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at our office. No appointments needed. We also have CUF in our office helping the community with Housing Connect applications. So if you know someone that's interested in creating an account with applying for housing lotteries, we have them every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. No appointments needed. So everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Pablo Rivera. I'm the chairman of Bushwick Sports and Recreation. With office at 439 Wilson Avenue. Phone number 718-628-5486. We have some flyers here. Our winter program, which is free. We are the only league in the north area of North Brooklyn that gives free winter baseball training. Everybody else is $350, $700, $800 per kid. We have winter trainings at 850 Grand Street, which is Progress High School. And we there on Saturdays, ages 3 to 6 from 2 to 4. Tuesdays, 6 to 9 p.m. 7 and 8-year-olds. On Saturdays from 12 to 2 is 9 to 11-year-olds. And Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m. 12 to 13-year-olds. Okay. And I know it was mentioned, we have a ball field that's been a war where they want to do this dog run. And I want everybody to know this. It is the only ball field with the dimensions for 13-year-olds, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds to play in all of this area, Bushwick, to Williamsburg. There's not one ball field. That ball field goes, our 13-year-olds through 17 will not have a place to play. If it's cut for a dog run, they won't have a place to play. That's how important it is. That's how Bushwick Sports how hard we'll be fighting to keep it that way. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Community Board 4 Executive Board, Community Board members, and the community of Bushwick. Dwayne Frankson, now Judge Dwayne Frankson, just stopped by to say thank you for your support. Thank you for the community for the support. You'll see me in the street. You'll see me at the meetings. Don't hesitate to come up and talk with me. Any events, any postings I share with the community board. I'm here for you. Yes, and I got assigned to the criminal court. So I'm at 120 Schermerhorn. The 24th of this month, we actually have our Black History Month event, a Happy Black History Month as well, at 1 o'clock. Everyone's invited, and thank you again. And hey, Pastor Torres, how you doing? All right, good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you for being here and for sharing the information. We do receive it. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
On, like they mentioned, celebration 100 years of Black History Month on Thursday, tomorrow the 19th from 6 to 8 at 108 Montrose Avenue. Our Virgie Jones Youth and Education Committee would be honored, and so would Anita Haynes, a longtime community member in Bushwick. Miss Anita used to run 422 Central. They're going to be honored, so I hope all of y'all be there to support them and let them know that we're here to support them.
Go ahead, Fran, then Jonathan, and then Venus.
Hi, everyone. This is Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office. I just want to announce that we will be doing a compost kitchen container giveaway. This is the small container that you can put food scraps in your kitchen. We have 100 units to give away. The event will be February 26th from 3 to 5 p.m. at our office. So if you didn't get one the last time we did a giveaway, now is your chance to come get one. First come, first serve. We also are hosting a monthly veterans clinic at our office where veterans can come and get help signing up for health benefits and others with an assistant in person. We also have seniors services clinic, tax clinic, and we also started our new snow support patrol where folks who are unable to shovel snow from their property can get paired up with a volunteer on days when snow is falling and get help shoveling their sidewalks and avoid tickets. So all of this is on the council members' social media and our newsletter. If not, you can reach out to me and I'm happy to send along the flyers. We're going to gear up for a participatory budget again this coming month. We're going to have our next delegate meeting on Monday, where we're going to review all the projects that are up for consideration for the $1 million. So just feel free to reach out to us at 718-642-8664. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan from Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's office. I want to start off by saying Happy Black History Month. It's very important that we celebrate Black history. Black history is American history. A couple of updates from the Congresswoman's office. The Congresswoman was able to secure over $15 million in community project funding opportunities for several projects across New York 7th Congressional District. One of them being $1.8 million for the repavement of Broadway between Flushing to Eastern Parkway. Yeah, more details on that coming soon. And several other projects across the district. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to mention that the Congresswoman's also hosting a student internship fair, not in Bushwick, but in Cypress Hills. So please urge folks to hop on that J train and come over to Cypress Hills, because it's going to be an amazing opportunity for high school students, for college students to get connected with different internship opportunities. So that'll be February 28th at Franklin K. Lane High School from noon to 3 p.m. And yeah, I'll share the flyer. Thank you so much. If you need any assistance with a federal agency, feel free to call our office at 718-599-3658.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Venus Canterbury. I'm Brooklyn Outreach for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. We are a city agency that independently investigates, mediates, and at times administratively prosecute allegations of police misconduct. Sorry, I'm not as a frequent attendee at these meetings. I oversee all 18 community boards, so I'm glad to be here in your presence tonight virtually. We investigate force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. So if anyone would need to file a complaint, they can either call our hotline at 1-800-341-2272, or you can always file online at nyc.gov/ccrb complaint. Lastly, if you would like an informational session on civilians' rights and responsibilities during police street encounters and how to file and the jurisdiction of our agency, you can always reach out to me. I'm going to share my phone number now, 917-742-4098. Happy Black History Month, happy Lunar Year, and I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for announcements. I see no other hands on Zoom. We have someone else in person.
Hi, community members. My name is Jackie Cardenas. I'm a reporter with the Downtown Brooklyn Star. This is the first time that I'm attending to this meeting, and I just wanted to be able to kind of offer myself in service of the community. A lot of times, I'm sure you guys will agree, the media does not do a very good job reporting on our community. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm here in service of y'all. So if you guys ever have any kind of story ideas or concerns, something that's not right going on in your community, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to connect with you. My phone number is 224-387-8267.
Thank you. And we have one more on Zoom. Irene.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Irene Madrigal, and I'm a Bushwick resident and current graduate student getting my master's at New York University. I'm currently working on a research project focused on the impact and legacy of the 1977 New York City blackout on the Bushwick community. And I'm in the process of organizing an oral history initiative where I'm looking to interview individuals who grew up, lived, and worked in Bushwick during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, who can speak to their experiences and memories of the community at that time, what they were doing on the night of the blackout, how this event shaped the neighborhood, and any thoughts they have on how Bushwick has changed over the past 50 years, especially if you've been a longtime member of the community. If you fit this description or you know of anyone who might be interested in learning more about my research and being interviewed, please feel free to contact me. My phone number is 347-466-1668, and my email address is ism9859@nyu.edu. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see no one else in person and no one else on Zoom. So that concludes announcements this evening. We will move on to our second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Linda Whitfield. Jerry Valentine. Thank you, Jerry. Ben Tucker. Savannah Thais. Christian Tate. James Stewart. Annette Spellin. Eliseo Ruiz. Raul Rubio. Pablo Rivera.
I'm here.
Got you, Pablo. Cirillo Nunez. Zuma Novoa.
Present. Good night, everyone.
Mika Nichols Barnes.
Here.
Got you. Christine Malden. Cindy LeBron. Giovanni Justiniano. Luisa Jose. Tara Jones Thomas. Virgie Jones. Barbara Jackson.
Here.
Got you, Barbara. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present.
Deborah Hicks. Courtney Henley. Elaine Hamilton. Ann Guiney. Christopher Graham. Jason Gares. Alan Gamboa. Joanna Fuentes Singh. Freddie Fowler. Andrew Troy.
Here. Good night.
Got you, Andrew. Felix Ceballos. Robert Camacho. Joanna Bennett. Stephanie Anderson. Isa Abney. Motion to adjourn. Issa makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Courtney Henley seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Good night, everyone. Get home safe.
8:07. Good night, everyone. We set a record. Good night.
Oh, I'm not spelling that.